So what y'all study in school?
So for undergrad, I was a psychology major. And like I said, obsessed with studying the mind and the brain, how it functions. And then for graduate school is when I dived into clinical social work.
Okay.
What about you, Celia?
Human resource, because my school did not have social work. So it was human resource, and then in grad school, it was clinical social work.
And what got you into, what pivoted you from that to what you currently do?
It was kind of like, because human resource is essentially, for some reason, I don't know why it was called human resources in my school,
Okay.
but it was social work.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
it was the same thing.
Yeah, some schools be doing that. They be mislabeling their.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's a tax thing or some shit.
So they actually, my undergrad had a partnership where Delphi, I think I'm saying it right, but they did have a partnership with Delphi, which is one of the big social work schools. Unfortunately, I didn't know about that program until I was already graduating. If I would have known, I would have joined in there and would have done like the three to five program and graduated with my social work degree.
So when you originally went to college, you were studying. You didn't even know, like you were studying what your school was describing as human resources, but you didn't necessarily know what that was going to entail.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you were to go back now, you'd have started a program that fit more in line with what you were going to do.
Yes, I feel like the programs that they would have offered would have gave me the more fundamental information that I needed to do social work. But unfortunately, I didn't have that. But they still gave me some sort of level of classes that I needed, but it wasn't social work related.
What school?
Mount St. Mary College. That's up in Newburgh.
Okay, I have no idea where it is.
Exactly.
She said it was like the worst school, and she was like, actually, I don't even want to tell you what school I went to because that shit was garbage.
So, I said I went to one of the greatest HBCUs.
Here we go. There's always one. There's always
Something
one.
that they like to call, Morgan State University.
I ain't yeah, Morgan State, y'all okay, I guess,
Sorry. Let's get back to this historically black colleges. How many of you guys are not liking each other?
I mean, after you graduate, baby, it's all love. But when we in there, it's black on black, baby. I don't.
What is black love at, man?
We keep it FUBU style,
Yeah, all play football against each other.
Yeah, we were.
These motherfuckers are warm welcome since.
Nah, because we was in the same conference, so
Yeah, so that they're old school rivals. Morgan versus Hampton University. It goes way back.
Way back.
So, you say that, I remember before you were saying that there's not a lot that these kids are very surprised that they see somebody who represents them, who looks like them. And we've had other guests on the podcast to talk about why they think there's that stigma. What, from your experience, I'm sure you spoke to other social workers and people who are in your field that are your skin color and come from your communities. Why do you feel like there's a very limited amount of y'all?
So I feel like people get typecasted into specific roles, right? So you commonly, when you hear the term social work, the first thing that kids and people in the community see, they hear ACS worker. And they start running, ducking, and stuff like that. I feel like there's times I had to walk through the community with a bulletproof vest on because I didn't know if I was going to get capped. People really, really treated it as if that was my role. And when I navigated a different sector, I switched from psychology to social work. So I always explain to people that I had a distinct need to provide clinical-based services. I wanted to do therapy. So within navigating the field, the first time you enter, people are like, well, hey, you could work with it in this sector, right? You can help kids in this way. You can go in and make sure the conditions of their home is fine. But I was like, the conditions of their home is based off of a mindset, right? So yes, I can go in and take kids out of a home that, sight unseen, or when you look at it, like if the house is dirty or the house is unlivable, or I could teach kids the psychology behind why their house looks the way that it looks.
Right.
And that was a mindset for me. I tell people the reason why I didn't become a psychiatrist or a psychologist per se, and I chose to become a clinician, is because I didn't believe in medication, providing psychotropics to kids in larger rates. Children of color were getting put on all these antipsychotic medications and all these stimulants, and that was a problem for me. And I said, okay, well, I don't want to just go in one aspect and tell people, hey, I can help you get your kid on medication. Better yet, I can have a conversation with you about medication and what it can be utilized for, and knowing that it's not the only option in terms of treatment. So having people like that say and have that conversation, having people who look like you invest in that conversation and sit down with you makes all of the difference. So I had to kind of like change the mindset and say, when you hear somebody say they're a social worker, there's two streams of thought. I want you to look at me and see a different thing.